to episode 9 of the Easier Said Than Done podcast. My name is Brendan Donahue. Join with me, Bob Horgan and Dave Toscano. Fellas, how we doing?
What's going on?
Doing fantastic, besides the construction going on outside of my apartment.
Yeah, middle school being built across from Bob so that he can finally go pursue that education of his. Good for you, Bob. It might suck now, but it'll be worth it in the long run.
No.
Just remember
Definitely.
PEMDAS.
Can you recite PEMDAS right now?
Parentheses, exponent, multiply, divide, addition, subtraction. Bitch.
Wow.
Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally.
Yeah.
I'm always good for like a one-liner at the beginning, and then Bob just expands a little bit. He shows a little bit of character. Charisma.
Love that.
There goes the beeping, so we're going to mute.
Kind of the week in general, kind of a step down from what was last week. We had a pretty hectic week last week with NFL free agency, first round of games. Kind of a step down here. We had the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 the past week. A couple of NFL free agency things, nothing major, nothing from the Pats, I don't think. Opening day is today, or for the Red Sox it is. With the second to last opening day because the Mets and Nationals got canceled yesterday because they have COVID, so that sucks for them. And then looking forward, got Champions League coming up this week. International window has ended, so club soccer is back this week. So we're going to get into a couple of things. So we'll just start off with Sweet 16 and Elite 8. So I'm just going to call them the top left, top right. So top left, Gonzaga completely just burns through every single person that comes close to them. I think so. They're 30-0 now, and 29 of those games have been decided by 10 points or more, which is ridiculous. So the question is, can they be stopped? And I'm not sure the answer is anything but no.
I think they can be stopped by Baylor, and Baylor only.
Yeah, I think Baylor's the best matchup of the year. I think that game's going to be if it comes about. Obviously, they both got to take care of business. More of the Baylor on Houston part. There's just so much on Gonzaga. I think that like people who didn't know about Gonzaga, like you might have known Jalen Suggs, like maybe you knew Corey Kispert because he's kind of been around forever. The dude that nobody even talked about, and he's the best player on the floor every night, is Drew Timme.
He's got baller in Europe written all over him.
Oh my God! Yeah.
He won't be big of a player in the NBA. He'll be around for a little while. He'll probably go undrafted. He'll make a summer league team, and then he'll probably make a squad. And he'll be a guy that floats around and gets like 5-10 day deals. But he's not big enough to like dominate in the league, dude. He's like 6'8", 6'9".
Hey, he bitched Evan Mobley, and Evan Mobley is going to cover some good bigs for 15 years. Oh, okay. Well, look about it this way: would you rather take a kid from like France in the second round and like maybe you draft and stash, or would you rather take Drew Timme and let him be your 11th man and maybe he figures it out? There are worse.
Would you rather have Timme or Kispert?
They're not even in the same. Oh, so like in general,
yeah.
In the draft, Kispert's going to go in the top 10.
No way, dude.
Yeah, have you read every mock draft?
In the top 10?
Yeah, he's like
no way.
Look it up right now. Any mock draft you look up, dude. He's the prototype NBA 3-and-D. Like he's Duncan Robinson. He's Tyler Hero a little bit. Like that's what he is.
The last one I saw, I had him.
He's JJ Redick, Duncan Robinson. Probably not as much Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero is more of like just a baller.
Suggs is a monster though.
Suggs is.
He's gonna be a player.
He hasn't even like. The craziest thing with Gonzaga is they haven't even like put it into gear. Dude, they got 3 first-round picks, and Timmy's not even a first-round pick.
So the one I'm looking at has Kispert going at 14.
All right. Well, there are other ones that he's like 8th, 9th, 10th.
You're such an idiot, Bob.
The lottery player.
Timmy's also a sophomore, so like if he stays another year, his stock goes up if he continues to ball out.
I think Ayayi is a junior too. So realistically, they could have 3 of those 5 guys back. I don't know if they will or not.
They just got a first top 10 recruit again. Their second ever like top 10 recruit besides Suggs.
Yeah. He is also from France. So as you mentioned, You get a best of both worlds.
And then we'll shift down to the bottom left. UCLA just decides to continue. I don't know how they're good. I really don't. Them and Oregon State. It's like I don't understand how they are good. Like they've been good on defense. Yeah, I get that. But like, besides what's his name, Johnny Juzang.
Yeah, he
had 27 against Michigan, and I think the rest of the team combined had like 22.
Yeah, 24. I think they went for 50.
Yeah.
He's a hooper.
I mean, he's a baller. I'll give him that.
Well,
but like, I just don't understand. Like, I think here was what I was saying. If UCLA wins it all, Tiger Campbell Tiger Campbell, is that his name?
Yeah.
He has to shave his head.
No, dude.
He's got a palm tree growing on his fucking head.
That flow.
If they win it as an 11 seed, he has to shave his head.
That's the best hair I've probably ever seen.
I don't know. I like the mullet guy on Baylor.
Oh, yeah. That is solid flow. Just a tidbit though on UCLA. Sorry, I know we're talking about Tiger Campbell and his hair. Do you see Johnny Juzang supposed to be last year when he was at Kentucky? He was supposed to be a high school, like he's supposed to be a freshman in college. This year he's a sophomore, so like not that's a huge difference, but like he's like a 19-year-old dude just absolutely running through the tournament. It probably is it the most impressive tournament. I don't know if it's most impressive because they kind of got like BYU wasn't a grade 6. Then they got
run this year or like in recent years.
Recent years because they're the first ever
Double
first 4 play-in game to the Final Four.
Second.
Who?
VCU.
Okay, so I don't think they are because I don't think VCU was first 4. I don't think that was a thing back then.
So they did make they made the Final Four, and then I think it was 2 years later that they beat Kansas, or the next year that they beat Kansas. The year that they beat No, I'm almost certain now that I think about it that they were first 4.
Let's see. UCLA beats Michigan to go first 4 to Final Four. Because my roommate also brought that up and said, he's like, oh, VCU did it. And I was like, no, VCU did it. Like, it was Eric Maynor and it was retro Shaka. And that first 4 thing's like relatively new. 68 became a thing in like 2013-ish. And Eric Maynor was like before that.
Yeah, it was VCU in 2011.
But did they do?
No.
I think they just did it as an 11 or 12.
Yeah.
I don't think they had not saying that playing games like all the difference, but like, fuck man, you said
they did. 2011, VCU became the first, but now not only team to advance from the first 4 to the Final Four.
There you go.
Well, we're reading different articles because I have UCLA beats Michigan to become first 4 to Final Four. So
yes, they're saying the name of those first 4 games is the first 4. They're not saying the first 4.
No, to complete run. I don't know, dude. All right, whatever. Fuck it.
Remember our
first 4
misunderstanding over my tweet earlier this week?
Words are hard. Hey, words are hard.
Words are hard, which is why we dedicate an hour to it for people listening to us say words.
Words are hard. All right, you're right. I just read it. I read it more. We're good.
To answer your question, I think they are if they win it all, but I still have 2014 UConn in my head as most impressive run.
Kemba or Shabazz?
Shabazz. As a 7 seed, if you look at that road that they went through, ridiculous. So they beat St. Joe's, like they were favored in that game. And they beat Nova, Iowa State, Michigan State. They beat Kentucky in the championship, and I forget who they played in the Final Four. Florida.
Yeah, Florida.
So, I mean, like, that's a gauntlet in itself.
Yeah, but UCLA, they did go through Bama and a good Michigan team, although they didn't have livers. But,
if you beat
your first 2 games were, I guess, were against. I mean, BYU was a good team, but then you had to play. You played a 14 seed in the second.
But also, like if they pull off the Gonzaga win, like that's
agreed. That's what I'm saying. Maybe if they go to the Final Four.
If you do Gonzaga Baylor, you beat 3 1s in one round. That's not a lot of people
agreed.
Do that.
We're agreed there. But as of right now, if they lose to Gonzaga, I think 2014 Shabazz still.
Oh yeah, if they lose, it's a solid run. But no one's gonna. I mean, you'll remember it, but like not really.
Yeah.
Yes, you won't remember it really.
And then we'll shift to the top right. So Baylor gets through Nova pretty easily, and they get through Arkansas. I mean, if Arkansas didn't start that game off so shitty, we might have a different story here.
Good teams do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Baylor was supposed to win the game. The Baylor was supposed to get here. They got here.
Yeah, I mean, if you were looking at Twitter was defending Arkansas all year. I mean, like at the end of the game. Because, if you look back on it, they weren't ranked until 2 weeks left in the season. To go from that to a 3 seed, you're starting 4 freshmen. Like, that'll be a team that's to watch out for next year.
Well, Moses Moody's going to go, so your best player leaves. That changes everything. But
still, to bring back 3 – so
yeah,
three
you'll be good.
You'll be good.
You'll be good.
And then bottom right, Houston gets through Syracuse. I knew that was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen.
I didn't want it to happen. You saw me. I'll be honest. We started drinking at about 2:00, and by 4 or 5, I was posting on Syracuse money line, hammer it. 7 p.m. for the game, we were at the bar, hammer it. And then
I was looking at handicappers all over Twitter, and it was every single one of them was on Syracuse, and I was like, okay, this is where you fade the public, and you have to beat Houston.
Houston they ate Buddy Boeheim was
couldn't hit water, fell out of a boat.
Poor Buddy.
I hate Houston for no reason at all. I've never liked them. I took Cleveland State. I thought it was a great pick.
Dave, you want to know a fact? Because this is we'll like this, and I saw it. Dejan Giroux, who's like the stud or the second best player in Houston.
Oh no, I've heard this.
He transferred out of UMass. He was the first ever 4-star recruit that went to UMass, and he transferred.
Trey Mitchell could have run it, Dave.
Who didn't transfer from UMass? Everyone stayed, then we were sick.
It's tragic. What could have been? Does this run through your head at night? Damn, we could have had 3 4-star recruits running the top 5. We could have run the Atlantic 10. Does that keep you up at night at all?
That would be great. If people around here got rowdy for basketball like they got for hockey, then
well, you guys have to be good for them to get rowdy.
I know, it's so ridiculous. You got to be top 5 minimum for anyone to give a damn out in Amherst.
Yeah, I mean, so that region in itself went from the sexiest to the ugliest by the end of the first weekend, because Illinois and Oklahoma State were both America's 2 sexy non-Gonzaga picks, and then they were gone. West Virginia was gone, and then you're left with Houston, which everybody seems to hate, and then Loyola Chicago. I actually kind of felt bad because people were starting to hate on Sister Jean, myself included. All right, enough. You guys had your year. Be done with it.
Yeah, the podcast got deleted. We talked about this, but we're happy she's alive. We're happy COVID didn't get her.
We're glad she's well and fine, and we're also glad that Loyola's gone. So, is there any chance that we see any chance that we see a UCLA Houston Final Four championship? And if we do, would that be the least anticipated championship of all time?
No chance, and yes, it would be.
I mean, it would be exciting to see 2 different teams in it than we've seen in the last couple of years. I know UCLA has been a powerhouse, but
I think it's a bust if we don't see Gonzaga Baylor, and I would be shocked actually.
Yeah, that's the best game, matchup wise, Gonzaga. But I mean, honestly, Houston, UCLA, now that I've watched every team kind of play a little bit, knowing some basketball, they actually would be a decent matchup, kind of how they would align. But I want to see Gonzaga Baylor. That they've been 1-2. Michigan creeped in, teams have creeped into that too. When people are Baylor's kind of overrated. They're 1-2. They're 1-2. Play.
Yeah, I mean, I think this tournament, I'm not going to say it's been a letdown because, we didn't have the tournament last year. There really hasn't been many, electric moments yet. And I really thought we were going to get one in that Michigan game. I thought we were going to get a buzzer beater or something. We haven't had a single buzzer beater to decide a game yet. How does that happen?
Hold on. The electric moment in the Bama UCLA game.
Yeah.
Up at the end.
Yes.
That was sick.
That was yes. But other than that, like, can you think of one?
Oral Roberts.
Yeah, all I can think about is just like every single game just goes down to hacking and free throw shooting. Which,
I mean,
okay, this also I wanted to talk about this. Mick Cronin's like whole philosophy of fouling on an inbound while you're up 3 with like 5 seconds left. It is very smart, but I cannot stand it. It takes all of the excitement out of the last 5 seconds of a game.
what is it? You foul before they can get the ball in, right?
Yeah, and then they just shoot 2 free throws that you eliminate the chance of shooting a 3.
Well, he didn't do it. So
He did not do it.
But like, so he didn't do it against Alabama, and he didn't do it against Michigan. Actually, I don't think they really had the chance to do it against Michigan because that was a good drawn up play. I mean, we could go into like how is that the play that you draw up both times, taking it out? Like, they're well designed plays, but just like read the room, Juwan Howard. Like, you guys are 3 for whatever from 3. Pull up 3 with 5 seconds left. Really isn't the call there, and then giving it to Franz right after he airballed the 3, like with 0.5 seconds left. I don't really get that, but hey.
If he's there, that play is ran for livers.
Yeah, probably. I also didn't understand why you wouldn't just throw it up into the air for Dickinson and just let him try and either get hacked or, put that near the frame. So, and then college basketball, that doesn't have to do with the game on the floor. Some big changes this week. We'll start with the one we should start with. Roy Williams retiring. Pretty crazy, all things considered. Like, I would say him and Coach K are like the face of college basketball, coaches-wise, from mid-2000s on, maybe early 2000s on. It's going to be interesting to see where they go. And I told Bob, and he doesn't want to hear any of it, if Gonzaga wins on Monday, I think it's a chance that it's Mark Few, the coach of Gonzaga. He's getting paid. I mean, I'm sure that he'll get a raise if they win the championship and all that, and that's all well and fine. But I know that Bob's going to say he has a chance to, establish Gonzaga into a blue blood or whatever you want to say it. But
They are a blue blood.
They will never be a blue blood in that conference. They never will be, unless they want to move to the Pac-12.
All right, hear me out. Getting into it, what is it? Over the last X amount of years, Gonzaga's had that best win percentage.
Probably since Adam Morrison, really.
So think the last 15, or Adam Morrison was 04. Last 17 years, Gonzaga's been like a power. They send guys to the NBA. Like, there's a lot of guys in Gonzaga in the NBA now. Like, all this shit. Man, Mark Few has had the opportunity to lead before. Maybe you know what? North Carolina has never knocked on his door. Maybe that job doesn't open up. Duke doesn't open up. Like, those jobs don't just open up
every day, and they don't come
every day. So
back.
you could argue that. I just don't like. If you're Mark Few, what you have absolutely nothing to prove. You have nothing to prove. You send guys to the NBA. You win games. If you get the title finally, you might be the best coach in college basketball, because as you've seen, they go and play all these big name teams, and this year they bitched everybody. Illinois, Iowa, Auburn, Kansas, name them.
The only thing that I'll say is that it's taken him the best team of all time.
It's hard to win. It's hard to win.
That's a huge stretch.
It's hard.
Probably the best team of the last 15 years.
Yeah, probably. Maybe you could argue
from collegiate wise. You can look back at some teams and there's gonna be there were 3 NBA studs on this team, but the way that they play is great. It is so satisfying to watch the way they play basketball.
It's not like he inherited the best team ever. They recruited them.
Yeah, they had to build. I don't know. Maybe they make a push because they're only D1 or I could be making this up. Because I don't know if they don't play football, so that's the only reason why I say it. I feel like
they've been D1 for a little while, I think, because John Stockton was there.
So no, I think for basketball, but I don't know what other sports they're D1 in. Maybe you just move to the Pac-12 and go dominate the Pac-12. That's what you should do.
Yeah, I've been saying this for a couple of years now.
You don't need to. Even if they move the Mountain West isn't really. It's a step up.
I would even take the Mountain West. Mountain West's got a couple good teams, like Utah State,
San Diego
BYU, San Diego State.
No.
BYU's with Gonzaga.
Right. Sorry. Colorado State, Boise State, Nevada.
Yeah, you need a better schedule.
Yeah, I mean, and like they've done their best in the past couple of years to really ramp up the out of conference schedule, but like I don't think they can ever be considered a blue blood in the WCC playing Pepperdine and Loyola Marymount. Whoop de freaking do. But I did look at the potential replacement candidates. So the one that everybody thinks is Williams' assistant, Hubert Brown. The other ones that I saw listed were Mark Few, potentially Brad Stevens, which I don't think will happen because if he turned down Indiana, he's not going to UNC. Jerry Stackhouse, who's an alum. Antoine Jameson, who's an alum. He's in the Wizards organization right now. The coach at Stanford, I forget his name. The UNC Greensboro coach, I forget what his name is. Nate Oates. I can't imagine he'll leave, but Bama's a big enough school where I think that
I think Oates just got like a 7-year extension too.
Yeah, he might. I think you might be right there. But that's what I mean. Like, Alabama's a big enough school where you can establish your program there, if that's what you want to call it. So it'll be interesting. I think we'll probably get a turnaround on this pretty quickly. I would say it's probably going to be the next 2 weeks, is my guess.
Are you in on Mark Few? Is that who your guy is?
If North Carolina refers to themselves or thinks of themselves as the program that historically they are, I think Mark Few is like the best possible candidate for them. Like, we don't know what his thought process is. You don't know if he'll even entertain it, but he's never really been linked to go anywhere else. So this and Duke are like D2 jobs, maybe Kentucky.
No, but my thing is, I think looking at what I would say, Michigan's a pretty elite job.
Yeah,
that's one of the newer ones. I mean, obviously UCLA opened up, but that kind of lost some pedigree.
Definitely has lost.
I think the new thing is the former player, was it Hubert? Is it Hubert Brown or Hubert Davis? What's his name?
I think it's
one
Hubert
of them's
Brown.
the announcer. One of them's the announcer. One of them's
Hubert Davis. Now that I think about it.
Okay. He's the assistant right now, or he's like the associate head coach. He played in the NBA, was a a broadcaster. I would say he's probably in the clubhouse, he's probably the favorite. But
the other thing is when you're talking about that whole bringing back former players and everything, recruits like the idea of playing for young guys who just came from the league. I think the glimmer off of these older guys is starting to go a little bit, and especially at these big schools, kids like the idea of playing for a Jerry Stackhouse or an Antoine Jameson. They like the idea of playing for Juwan Howard, that sort of thing. So it'll be interesting. They said Roy Williams is going to have a big say in who the next coach is. So we'll see.
If you does win, does he take it as a personal thing? I have to win at Gonzaga before I go anywhere else.
That's what I was saying. I think he's definitely more likely to take it if they win.
I agree.
I almost don't know if he will take it or really entertain it if they don't win. But also he might want to try and get rid of that whole Gonzaga will never be able to win a national championship thing and just be all right, well, I'm going to UNC. But I don't peg him as that kind of guy. And then some big personal news. Texas, I'm not going to even say we lost Shaka Smart. Shaka Smart left, takes the job at Marquette. It's the best for everybody involved. Nobody was getting anywhere in that relationship at all. It just wasn't a good fit. I think he's better in a Big East Atlantic 10 kind of position. I don't think the Big 12 is a very good fit for him.
Did I read it right that he never won a tournament game?
With Texas, no.
With Texas?
Or after they went to the Final Four, he never won another tournament game.
He went to the Final Four with Texas?
No, with VCU.
Oh, so Shaka is not a good coach.
Yeah.
Overrated. You know who he's like?
No, he'll be
You know who he's like? The haters might hate this.
Who?
Brad Stevens. He needs the underdog to make a run. Once you give him the big dogs, he doesn't do it as well.
Yeah. I mean, Stevens went to 2 Final Fours, so I guess you could say it. I don't know.
But Steven said underdog. Underdog.
Yeah, no, like yes, he's not able to make a great team elite. He's able to make a good team very good.
That's probably a really hot take, seeing as he's brought the Celtics to I know I initiated.
I understand where the logic is behind it. It's not the strongest of claims. There's not the thesis needs a little work.
We'll throw out a hot take though. We don't care. We'll throw out any hot take we want.
And then the Longhorns finally get it right. Actually, I thought they got it right when they hired Shaka, so I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to try and jinx it. But Chris Beard is the perfect fit. I know a lot of people are going to criticize him going from Texas Tech to Texas. He's a Texas alum. Like, this is the job that he wanted all along, I think. And he's a great fit. He's a great coach. He's established a hell of a program over at Texas Tech. I'm really excited to see what the next couple of years does for him. I saw that Texas Tech had offered him a lifetime contract, and he turned it down. So, that means, Texas was always the first option. And I saw some wild rumors before, Beard was, heavily linked that Texas might go after, John Calipari or Brad Underwood from Illinois. But, I mean, he's, a type of guy who establishes a program. And I think Texas needs that badly because they really haven't had it. Rick Barnes barely even had it after KD left. They had one, maybe two good teams in the last 15 years, and this was one of them, and Shaka blew that big time. Realistically, this team was – I mean, if they were well coached, or if they were coached by someone like Chris Beard, honestly, I think that team probably would have been a 1 seed this year. And a little bit of a not diluted, but Kansas wasn't very good this year. None of those teams were hot.
What's kind of plagued Texas the last 5 years, and this isn't a bad thing, I would say. It's shows they're a good program. I was thinking about it. What they had: Miles Turner, 1 and done.
Yep.
Mo Bamba,
Yep.
1 and done. Jackson Hayes, 1 and done.
He wasn't that big of a contributor, but yes, the point stands.
But Jackson Hayes gets minutes in the NBA.
Correct.
And
yes,
if Jackson Hayes stayed 2 more years, I would bet he would be decent. I know Mo hasn't played. Mo Bamba kind of fell off, but still, if he was still in, I don't even know if he would be in college. I think he might be a senior.
Probably. He was never. I mean, those guys never stay though.
I know they never stay, but that's at a certain point. It's if you're Texas, do you really want those guys? They come in they don't. Not even you were saying. Jackson Hayes didn't really do shit. He just was a 7-foot freak. He wasn't meant for the college game. He's meant for the pro game. That just happens with teams. And I feel the one thing that did kind of bite Texas this year is a lot of their guys, and I don't know why it's always like this, a lot of their guys aren't meant for the college game. Greg Brown, if he leaves, he's going to go and be a first-round pick, and people are going to be like, that kid didn't do anything. He didn't even in the tournament games, he didn't really play.
I think he got 12 minutes in that Abilene Christian game.
12 minutes, he's going to be a first-round pick.
Yeah. I mean, I'm interested to see if he can get any of the guys that were maybe fringe draft guys to stay at all. I think Jericho Sims would do a lot with another season, especially under Beard. Possibly maybe bringing in a transfer or two, some big names. I would love to see Christian Bishop from Creighton. I don't know how much of a – I mean, I'm just throwing names out that I saw that was Texas would really use a guy like that, especially a couple of these bigs.
A lot of the good Tech kids are I saw Tech, that kid Edwards from Tech. What?
Is McClung?
No. Not McClung's the only kid I haven't seen. But a lot of their other their 3 of their other 5 starters are already transferred, so I wouldn't be shocked if they.
Yeah, I think McClung probably doesn't want that 3 schools in 3 years thing hanging over his head.
Greg Brown could come back too. I said he's gonna be a first-round pick, but the way he played, he might come back.
For the record, I don't think John Calipari will go anywhere else unless it's back to UMass.
That's enough out of you.
Don't laugh. How is that funny?
In what world is John Calipari ever coming back to UMass?
He wins at Kentucky. He's sick of this big program. He wants a challenge. He's going back to UMass to reestablish the program and assert his dominance on the game.
Dave, I would put the chances of that happening at
10%.
0.00000.
10%.
I think me and Bob have the same odds of becoming head coach of UMass as.
Whoa! Don't sleep on me.
I'm saying no, dude. I'm giving you the same odds.
Don't put me and you in the same category. That's what I'm trying to say.
I will. I would run a hell of a program.
Is that not the same situation as Bruce Arena?
What is Bruce Arena, the Revs guy?
Yeah, he won a whole lot in LA, and now he came to New England to reestablish the organization and win.
Professional soccer, college
challenge.
It's. I understand what your thought process is, but actually,
Calipari will die at Kentucky. Did you actually see? Speaking of lifetime,
I saw that the boosters are a little pissed at him though.
Yeah, but whatever. He gets the best. His NBA track record. Did you see Bill Self today just got a lifetime deal?
I did see that.
So Bill Self is going to be at Kansas till he dies.
He's getting like something crazy, like $600K every single month for the rest of his coaching career.
Yeah. That stuff is crazy.
Imagine $600K to go have dinner with recruits' families and draw out of bounds plays.
Yeah.
The producer's calling me. We got to move on.
All right. Yep. Opening day is today. Sox. So all the local people seem to think that they're going to shock people, and all of the national writers seem to think that we're going to suck. And my prediction is that we're going to fall somewhere right in between. Here's the thing. The rotation is not good, but not nearly as bad as people want to make it out to be. If you can get to the trade deadline. All right, here, I'll paint you a picture. Ready? So you got Erod. Erod will be back by next week probably. Eovaldi is a good number 3 guy. He's not a 1. He's not a 2. He's a good 3.
Yeah.
Tanner Huck's a stud, and I don't want to hear anything else.
Is he our 3? Because I thought we were looking at. I think Garrett Richards is starting because I'm going to the game on Sunday.
Yeah, Huck's starting tomorrow.
Oh, so maybe we're getting – no, Erod's not back. So I think Richards might be the 4. Okay.
And then Pivetta and Martin Perez. And Pivetta pitched well in the 2 games that he came back last year. Like, I know he struggled in Philly, but, like, if you won't go back and look at, like, it just didn't seem like it was a good fit. He's, like, a highly touted guy, like, all throughout the minors, produced well, like, needed a change of scenery. I think – so – and then here's the other thing is that if you stay probably, like, within – 4 games of 500 by the All-Star break, you get Chris Sale back, and I heard he's pretty good at pitching. So
he's not bad.
Yeah, if you stay in the hunt and you get Chris Sale back, it's basically like a trade deadline acquisition. Treat it that way.
The other thing on top of that is if they get to the trade deadline and they make a move, I'm not confident in Bloom as like a buyer. He's never had to do that in his life. He's always been a seller. Yeah. So that'll be a weird little.
Hey, can we throw a 90-second segment in about Chris Sale at the end of this baseball talk? Because I just want to get something off my chest.
Sure.
But, all right.
So the lineup today.
Sox will be good.
It'll probably be the lineup for the most part. So Hernandez, Verdugo, Martinez, Bogarts, Devers, Renfroe, Gonzalez, Vasquez, Dahlbeck. Michael Chavis will be in the mix. Franchi Cordero will be in the mix. Christian Arroyo will be in the mix. Kevin Plawecki, and then there'll be some young guys that come up at some point. I'm sure Jarrett Duran will be up at some point. Jeter Downs might be up at some point. So, I mean, they're going to be a good offensive team. It's really going to come down to the pitching, and I think if they can be 20th in the league in starters ERA, I think they can make the playoffs. If they can be somewhere around that. If your starters can give you like 5 to 6 innings most of the time, and even if it's like 3-4 earned runs, like a start, like you're in a good position there. So, and I know, I mean, the AL East is tough, which is going to hurt them, and they have a couple of dreadful stretches in the schedule. There's one part at the end of the season where they play 16 straight games, no rest at all. They play the Yankees, the White Sox, the Astros, and the Yankees again. And that's like a part in the season where if you're like down 2 games and then you gotta go like 10-6 in that stretch, that's gonna be tough. That's gonna be tough towards the end of the season.
That's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, and I think they have one in June too, where it's the Rays, the White Sox, or no, the Rays. It might be the Rays, the White Sox, and then the Rays again. And it remains to be seen how good the Rays are. They've traded a couple of pieces, but still.
You know the Rays are always good.
Yeah.
What is our? I would say like if we made that, what is it? So the wild card now, you get 2 teams make it, or right?
Yeah.
2 teams make the wild card. I would say like that's a good goal, especially. I mean, you could argue the NL East is, but I would say the AL East has probably became the best division of baseball quietly or loudly, however you want to talk about it. Like the Yankees and the Rays are 2 of the top 6 teams every year. I think the Blue Jays are going to be good. And then, like, if the Red Sox are the 4th best team, it's a good division.
The Orioles have the potential to have an absolute stinker of the season.
Yeah, they're just terrible. They're just bad.
So I'll ask 3 questions. You guys give me answers. Okay? Over under 80.5 wins for the Sox.
Over, like 83, 84.
Is it 152 or 162?
162.
They are playing a full season. Okay, I thought they were playing.
So over under a 500 record.
Over.
Will they make the playoffs?
I want to say they'll make that last wild card spot, but we'll just have to see. I'm not there.
No.
And then give me your one player that's flying under the radar that you think will be or a surprise or a letdown this year. Like someone, just give me a player that you're watching, I guess.
I'll go. My one surprise, I mean, I don't know if he's a surprise. He's been having – I think Verdugo actually is going to have a really good year. I think he's really good. Like, he's not going to be Mookie Betts ever, but, like, I think he could be an all-star for a few seasons and be, like, a very good outfielder. And then my disappointing – I'm going to go with Matt Barnes, and I'm going to go that he loses the closer job.
You think it's Ottavino by the end of the year?
I think it's Ottavino by the end of the year. And that's kind of – I don't know. I really like Ottavino, but I don't really love Matt Barnes. He's got good stuff, but he's just –
I think Gonzalez might have a low-key good year. He's got power. I mean, he showed it with the Astros when they won the World Series, but, I mean, granted, he knew it was coming on the mound. But still, he's got some power. And
he's not Altuve. He doesn't have a buzzer in his shirt.
I've also heard – yeah, right. I've also heard a lot about this pitcher, Seabold. Is he in the minors still, or?
I think they sent him down.
Okay, well.
He was the other guy that they got with Pivetta, right? I believe so, in that Workman and Barnes deal. I think
a lot of people like Seabold, so maybe if he gets called up, he contributes a bit.
For me, I think that they do go over 500. I actually do think they make the playoffs. I think they'll get that second wild card spot. And I mentioned them. My surprise, I think it's going to be Nick Pivetta. I think he's going to be I'm not saying he'll be a stud, but he'll be a solid, reliable number 4 starter that eats innings for you. He has a couple of great outings. And the other one that I'm keeping an eye on, I don't really know much about him, to be completely honest with you, is Franchi Cordero. People seem to be like kind of in on him. He made the ball club, like the big league team, and hasn't had much of pro experience. So I'm curious to see where that one goes. I guess he's got a lot of power. So we'll see where that goes. The Red Sox kind of seem to be with some of these hitters approaching the don't care if he makes a lot of contact as long as he mashes kind of thing when he does make contact. So We'll see.
I'm excited for Bobby Dalbec.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. And I mean, not a bold prediction at all, but I think Rafi will rake this year.
Yeah.
He always starts off the season a little shaky though. So
I'm calling a home run today.
Yeah, like that.
Will JD be on the roster at the end of the year?
Depends on if they're under 500. If they're not doing well, I think they'd ship him out.
All right.
Also depends on where his trade value is at too. I think.
Yeah, I mean, dude, he's a good DH.
If he has a good year, and they're not.
Yeah, he was not great last year.
Yeah.
No one was really good last year. All right, wait. Can I throw out this little 90-second segment?
Absolutely.
Sorry. All right. So we've been having this discussion, and now that they're up and they're going to be like good players, when we made the Chris Sale trade a couple years ago, all right, for Moncada, or we gave up Moncada and Michael Kopech.
Uh-huh.
Now that they're up and in the majors and like they're going to be contributors, would you have done that trade?
Yes. Every single day of the week and twice on Tuesday. You won a World Series because of it. Kopech has barely pitched in the majors, and Moncada's had a very much of a roller coaster career so far. So I would do it. Yeah.
All right. I needed that answer by other people because I said yes. I would say the winning World Series, I would do that trade 1,000 times. But there are people out there that are not fans of that trade now. And I just think that, like, just because Chris Sale's hurt now, yeah, no shit. But he won you a fucking World Series, so.
Yeah, I don't think you win the World Series without him, realistically.
No.
Like, you need a number one stud. So we're going to transition into a little bit of U.S. soccer here. Some positives, some negatives. So you want to start with the good news or the bad news, Dave?
I want to talk about the bad news.
All right.
I don't really think it's that bad.
Well,
obviously it's disappointing and a failure. Yes.
Yes. So the U.S. Olympic qualifying team lost in the semis, which means they will not be competing at the World Cup in this upcoming summer. A lot of optimism around the group because we haven't played at the World Cup or at the
Olympics.
Sorry.
We will be going to the World Cup.
In 13 years. We haven't played in the Olympics since 2008. So there was a lot of optimism because you can only play your younger players in the Olympics. And for the most part, our best players are our younger players. So there was a lot of optimism that maybe we can make a run in the Olympics, catch a couple eyes, see what happens from there. And the problem with that is that you don't get access to most of your best players that are eligible because clubs don't have to release them to go play. So for the most part, you're playing with MLS guys who aren't even like top 5 players on their team really. And you're playing with guys who aren't getting first team minutes in Europe. So it's tough to qualify there. They get to the semis, they play Honduras, the team that knocked them out last time. Let up a goal with literally 30 seconds left in the first half, and then we absolutely gift a goal in the second half, which it was tough because their keeper, David Ochoa, was probably the best player in the tournament for them. There's no way – I mean, like, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. And it was a failure, and I think the only thing that we can really do from here is move on. I think it's obvious that Christ is not a good coach. He shouldn't have been the coach. I don't know why he still is being given opportunities, but – it is what it is.
Yeah. Questionable hires. Jason Christ wasn't even that good of a coach in MLS. And the coach under him, the age group below him, Hudson, I believe, he was a shitty coach at Colorado. So I don't know where these hires are coming from. But my stance is if we wanted to qualify for the Olympics, we would have qualified for the Olympics. That's a C team out there. I understand that clubs don't have to release their players, but you can bring a stronger squad. And even that squad should have been able to beat Honduras, who, by the way, is just like a USL all-star team, basically. Like,
my biggest problem with the entire thing is that, yes, it was like our C team. We didn't have a great selection. But even then, there were guys that were available that they did not call in that would have helped. Like
Ibobase
would have helped out. Eric Williams would have helped out. Caden Clark from the Red Bulls would have helped out. There was no attacking threat on that team whatsoever. They won the first game, 1-0, and they played the worst team in the tournament, put up 4 goals, and couldn't score against Mexico, and then they had to rely on a banger from Jackson Ewell to get them a goal in the Mexico game. I don't know what was up with Sebastian Soto. I think it's just like playing for the U.S. team. He was on loan in the Netherlands. He was getting a lot of game time. He looked good. And then Norwich calls him back, which I don't really understand because if you're not going to play him with the first team, why take him out of first team minutes? But that's not our decision. So, I mean, let's move on to the positives. So the senior team played 2 games last week. They beat Northern Ireland 2-1, and then they beat Jamaica 4-1, right?
Yeah.
I believe so, 4-1. Who caught your eye?
Well, first of all, I want to mention the positives about the young. I guess a positive spin on the failure to qualify for the Olympics. It's not a talent issue. We have very good under 23 players. We have very good young players. It's just that all of them were playing for our real team. None of them we're done with the old guys. That's what I'm trying to say. We're moving on to the next generation. The young guys are the team. That's the reality of it. So when some people might say, well, you don't have good young players because you couldn't even qualify for the Olympics in CONCACAF. That's just not true because they're all playing for our senior team. So we'll be
The
fine.
11 starters in that game against Northern Ireland could have been on the fields.
Yeah, and that'll be the core of the team for the next
12 years.
Yeah, 10, 12 years. So moving on to that team, I thought it was a pretty good performance. Serginho Dest kind of cemented his place in the team. He's not going to be going anywhere. Him and Christian Pulisic will be the first 2 names on the team sheet probably.
I think you could make an argument that he's the best player on the team right now.
Yeah, he's got loads of confidence.
Yeah.
He's running all over the place doing fancy moves or whatnot. Musa played really well. He was going straight through the middle of the park, just dominating the game, I think. I mean, Northern Ireland is one of the I don't want to say the worst teams in Europe, but they're definitely
towards the bottom more than
towards the bottom tier, yeah. But it's good to win away at a European country, as John Strong mentioned 5,000 times on the broadcast. I hate him, by the way.
So for me, you mentioned it, Musa, first games with the team and since committing to the team full time. He's going to be him, Adams, and McKinney are going to control your midfield for the next 12 years. So it's really nice to have that core right there. The guy that really caught my eye in these games, and he didn't start either of the games, was Brennan Aronson. He was in Philly last year, transferred to Salzburg, which is notoriously as a feeding club to the big clubs in Europe, or the bigger clubs in Europe. Erling Haaland came from there. Naby Keita from Liverpool. Same thing with Takasugi Minamino on Liverpool. So what I saw from him was something that the U.S. has not had in a long time. And that's a guy that does not fit into their starting lineup, but is a weapon off of the bench. And to have a guy that can come off the bench with 30 minutes left and make a difference within 30 minutes and absolutely carve up a defense is going to be an asset to have. So that was a really encouraging thing for me to see. Kellen Acosta was there. I thought he played really well in the Jamaica game, and then he looked like an absolute it was brutal. It was maybe one of the worst performances that we've seen in the last 10 games from anyone in a U.S. shirt. But that being said, he's kind of out of club minutes right now. So, the fitness isn't really there.
You got to respect Sebastian Lletget.
He's a solid quality player.
Representing the league. But, Daryl DK too. I really liked what he did. He didn't get the goal, but he could have scored 3 or 4.
The striker pool is very interesting here because now you have, I would say, the top 5 candidates, and you can critique this if you think in no order. I think your top 5 options up top are Sargent, Siabachu, DK, Zardes, and I'm going to lose here because I don't think Jesus Ferreira has a future with the full national team, and Josie Altidore is an old bag. So
I don't think we need. I guess Tim Weah is kind of a winger now. I guess
maybe
for the national team.
Justin Rennicks.
Justin Rennick, yeah, he can't even get minutes for the Revs, so I don't think.
No. But I mean, it was a very encouraging camp. It's going to be the last camp until the camp before the World Cup that will be full of non-competitive games. So from here on out, it's competitive games. It's going to be nothing but first choice players. They're going to be playing to win. It's not going to be a friendly to see what these guys have. Matthew Hoppe. That's the fifth one.
Matthew Hoppe, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Harold DK rumored to Everton. Did you see that?
Yeah, and Manchester United, I guess, is looking at him right now. And
Everton would be a better fit.
Huh?
Everton would be a better fit for our sake.
I'm kind of out on like our strikers going to giant clubs and just being expected to like go beast from there. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna have Gold Cup, Nations League final, World Cup qualifiers, and then bang, the World Cup's gonna be here. So
it'll be nice to see the whole team, all the players together for that Nations League. That'll be fun.
Yeah, and it'll be a semifinal and a final just like that. So, all right, let's move into the gambling part, and I got to pee real quick. So,
we're keeping that in. Can I keep that in?
Sure.
Keep it in.
So, getting into the gambling part of the show, kind of a dead week. Like, there's only like 3 total college basketball games being played until October, which is pretty messed up. It's always sad. Whenever I see that the one shining moment video start to play, I get a little upset. But hey, what can you do?
It's okay. The best league in the world is coming back in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely is. Like I said, it's pretty dry. Dave, you want to start?
Yeah. As you know, I hate Houston, so Baylor's going to win by 1,000,000 points. I'll take Baylor -5. And then I don't know what the line is because it's Saturday. The game's on Saturday, and it's – what day is it? Oh, Friday. I guess they don't have the lines out yet, but for PSG versus Lille, top 2, they're tied at the top of the table in France at 63 points. PSG's been the top dog in France for the last, 10 years or something like that, and it'd be nice to see someone else win. So I want to pick Lille, but PSG is going to win the game. They're just too good. Neymar's back. They got Mbappe. Whoever else, I'll take PSG money line.
All right, Bob.
All right, so I've been kind of looking at this, and just FYI, going back to our picks, the opening round picks, I think I probably went 1-7. So if anyone took those, sorry. What I like this weekend, 14 for that Gonzaga UCLA game to me is crazy. Like, that's a Final Four game where the line is 14 points. I think the Zags cover.
I think so too.
I think the Zags cover. So I'm gonna go with the Zags. Since I'm going to the Sox on Sunday, which I mentioned once or twice, I'm gonna go with the over because I want to see some runs. Why not? We're not there. I mean, unless it's like a no-hitter, perfect game, we're not there to watch the pitchers. And then I'll also probably go that Houston-Baylor just because that's kind of the topic of – I mean, that's the big event this week. I'll go the over of 134.5. I don't see – I know Houston's a good defensive team. I just don't see them being able to shut Baylor down. And even if they do, I still think it's going to be like a 76, 68 type of game.
For me, I am – oh, by the way, Dave, PSG -155. For me, one soccer bet, I'm taking the over in Bayern and Leipzig. I expect it to be madness. I think it was 3-3 last game. I think the over is going to be somewhere around 3. Even if it's 3.5, I'll probably take it. So that's the soccer pick. And then March Madness, I actually have action on both games. I have Zags covering -14. I have and then a parlay. I'm parlaying Baylor and the over. So take that as you like.
You wanna? Can I real quick? Let's start a group pick too.
Yeah, sure.
We're hammering the Sox today. Game starts in 18 minutes.
Can you bet on the sweep? Is that a thing?
What?
Can you bet on a sweep?
Let me tell you right now, Dave.
Probably if you're on
I would bet you some books you can. I don't know like what.
like official ones.
I
Yeah,
would
like
sweep.
let me see. Now DraftKings you can only do. There's no like series lines or whatever.
That's too bad.
Sox -1.5 is +110.
For
Yo,
sure.
the over is 9. They score. I mean, like even like Evaldi's a good pitcher, but would it shock you if Nathan Evaldi goes out and gives up 5 runs?
I wouldn't be shocked.
I'm gonna hammer the Sox and the over today. Sox -1.5 and the over. That's my take today.
There we go. All right, Dave, why don't you give us something to ponder and then we'll get out of here.
Sure thing. This one, as most of my things to ponder, can probably be solved by science. But like nobody understands science unless you're a scientist. So here we go. It's about molecules and atoms, I guess. So when you look at water, I'm holding up water to my screen. You can't see it. Maybe in the future we'll do zooms. But if you just look at water, there's 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen in this thing. How do those things come together to make water? Like I've always thought about that. And salt. Like
That is the question of life. That is
sodium
the
and
question
chloride?
of life.
Yeah, sodium and chloride just like come together to make salt.
You got a question for the big man upstairs is what it sounds like.
Yeah, maybe I'll ask him one day.
I hope not anytime soon.
Are you going upstairs, Dave, or are you going downstairs?
Somewhere in the middle.
Let me tell you, because I don't think I'm going to make it upstairs.
Well, if you're going to be downstairs, then maybe I'll come with you.
Fine. Sure.
We still haven't met in person, though.
I know.
Take a trip up to UNH, dude.
Are we virtual friends? Is that what we are? We're e-friends.
We are
Yeah,
e-friends.
Xbox Live
We're
friends.
e-friends.
We're pen pals.
All right.
I guess that wraps up the show, Don.
Yeah, that's enough for this week. We'll see you same time next week. Later, fellas.
Peace.
See ya.